Hey guys, my name is Tommy. Welcome back to our 5-minute tour of the Inner Sea region. Today's episode comes to us by request from Lord of Death Gaming. We're going to the River Kingdoms. So when I hear the term River Kingdoms, I think a bunch of friendly city-states living along a vast, expansive river, maybe fishing off the tops of castles. Couldn't be further from the truth. The River Kingdoms are a haven for inland pirates, anarchists, exiles, anybody who doesn't fit in across Galarion, they come here. By no means is this a unified nation. The balance of power is constantly shifting as all these fiefdoms and city-states go to war with each other to gain more power and to prevent the loss of their own. There's no central government here. Rather, there is a loose affiliation of these city-states called the Outlaw Council, which meet annually. The amount of kingdoms that form this council and show up once a year is constantly in flux as people rise in power, fall from grace, and everything in between. Beyond that, each individual city-state is ruled by its own separate council. Civil war, betrayal, assassinations, things like this, it's all the order of the day here. It's all a fact of life. Somebody might have all the power in a certain corner of the River Kingdoms one day to wake up the next day bereft of all his wealth or, dead. These guys ever only unite together as one unified nation if a serious threat from the neighboring nations around it should happen to present itself. Even then, you're looking at the same chaotic, discordant mess that you would be looking at otherwise. Each petty lord trying to outdo another petty lord with feats of battlefield heroism or trying to command more than he can actually control. Despite all this chaos, there are 6 tenets that bind the River Kingdoms together, known as the River Freedoms. In no particular order, they are as follows. Say what you will, I live free. Oathbreakers die. Walk any road, float any river. Courts are for kings. Slavery is an abomination. And you have what you hold. Sounds like a good enough Bill of Rights for a nation of pirates if I've ever heard one. Of course, the tumultuous nature of the River Kingdoms was not always the order of the day in the region. A long, long time ago, the land encompassing the River Kingdoms was a hunting reserve for the elves of Kyanin. However, present day, the rise and fall of petty tyrants is so common that no one really bothers to keep track of the history here because it's always changing. The only time the outside nations really take note of the River Kingdoms is when a local leader amasses enough power to form an independent nation in his own right. Thus far, this has only happened twice, forming the nations of Numeria and Razmarin, respectively. The population of the River Kingdoms is an incredibly diverse lot, and those who might move into the region are just as likely to find a common human neighbor as they are to find anything else living next door. The only thing that really ties people together here is that everyone is very self-reliant. Everybody knows how to take care of themselves because in the River Kingdoms, if you are incapable of doing that, you do not survive. Being the kind of folks that they are, religion isn't that big of a thing in the River Kingdoms, with 2 exceptions. Everywhere else in the Inner Sea, worship of Hanspur, the chaotic neutral god of the river, travel, smugglers, things of that nature, and Girona, the chaotic evil goddess of extortion, hatred, and spite, is banned. Here in the River Kingdoms, both these deities are openly worshipped. So what are we bringing our adventurers here for? To be honest, what aren't we bringing our adventurers here for? You can find pretty much whatever you're looking for, where all of the Inner Sea's outcasts go to conglomerate. Whether your party is full of lawful good clerics and paladins looking to find some ne'er-do-wells and bring them to justice, or full of a bunch of thieves and bandits and things of that nature, and everything in between, the River Kingdoms can accommodate you. As long as the party does not violate any of the 6 river freedoms, you can pretty much do whatever you want here. And this is also a place, much like Skyrim, where crime in one city won't necessarily track in another. For example, if you're in Daggermark and you get caught stealing, make it out of the region and end up somewhere like Mosswater or Lambreth, as long as you haven't broken any of the 6 river freedoms. And in this case, you kind of tread on the you have what you hold one a little bit, but hey, that's what we have diplomacy checks for. The point is, if your party screws up, breaks a bunch of laws, or you know that you're GMing for that kind of group, take them to the River Kingdoms. They'll be able to have a lot of fun, and the consequences are generally a little more lax. Of course, as we have been discussing, all of Golarion has some sort of real-world equivalent from our past. The River Kingdoms is a reflection of the Holy Roman Empire in extreme decline. At the end of the 15th century, the Holy Roman Empire had established its parliament, which emerged from medieval political struggles that obligated the emperor to consult with leading princes on decisions affecting the empire. In the River Kingdoms, this essentially sums up the once-a-year meeting in Daggermark, if we assume that the Holy Roman Empire is vastly in decline and nation-states rise and fall constantly as adventurers show up to shake up the political balance and or make a little bit of money for themselves. So have you guys ever been to the River Kingdoms? Have you adventured here? Have you GM'd here? Did you enjoy it? Just looking at it here, it seems pretty fun to me, and it seems like a good place to go if you want to shake up your games a little bit. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. The next episode of the 5-Minute Tour drops next Friday.